Why I stopped trying to fix myself. At some point in my life, I became someone who was always in the middle of trying to fix herself. New plan every new month, new vision of me, you being built from scratch, from front end development, then WordPress, then make work like a new technician, then a content creator, then back to square one and starting all over again. Every single time I started something new, there was this silent belief underneath it all that this time I had finally become the person I was supposed to be. That this time something would click and I would feel fixed. I'm going to tell you today why that never worked and what I found when I finally stopped. Hello. For a long time, I kept waiting to start sharing my life online until I had something figured out, a success story, a grow up, a before and after, but I am starting to think that in between the quiet, uncertain, still trying is actually the most important part. So that is where I am starting from. Hi, my name is Dami and I'm glad you are here. I don't think I've ever sat down and said to myself, I think I'm broken. But looking back now, I was living like I believe it. Every new skill I tried to learn was me saying, maybe if I become more useful, more employable, more impressive, then things will fall into place. Every new habit I attempt was me saying, maybe if I get my life more together, I'll finally feel okay. And every time something didn't work out, a plan fell through, an opportunity disappeared, burnout hits me harder than I expected, I will go back to that list. That mental list of everything that was wrong with me, everything that still needed to be fixed before I could be happy. It was an exhausting way to live, and the worst part is, from the outside, it can look like ambition, it can look like a drive, it can look like you are a hard worker who just kept going. But on the inside, it feels like running on a treadmill that never turned off. I tried a lot of things in a short period of time, and I used to be ashamed of that. Like, it meant I couldn't commit, like it was a proof that something was wrong with me. But what I understand now is that I wasn't scattered, I was searching. I was a woman who genuinely believed there was more for her, and she kept looking for it, even when she was tired, even when it didn't make sense, even when people around her didn't understand why she kept starting over. That is not brokenness. That is actually one of the most resilient things a person can do. I just didn't see it that way at the time. There wasn't one dramatic moment that changed everything. No, I want to be honest about that. Because I think we are sold this idea that healing and self-awareness always arrive like a lightning bolt. But for me, it was quieter than that. It was a regular evening. I was tired, not just physical, but the kind of tired that lives in your chest, the kind that doesn't go away after you sleep. And instead of opening a new app or writing a new plan or researching a new course, I just sat down there. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't try to do anything about how I was feeling. I just let myself feel it. The disappointment, the uncertainty, the grief, the honesty of a life that hadn't gone the way I had imagined it would. And something strange happened. It didn't destroy me. I think I had been running away from my own emotion for so long, filling every quiet moment with a new plan, a new goal, a new version of myself to build because I was scared of what would happen if I stopped. I was scared the sadness would swallow me whole. But when I finally stopped, when I finally just sat with myself and stopped trying to fix what I found wasn't a broken person. It was a tired one. And deeply tired woman who had been carrying so much for so long with very little rest, very little grace, very little gentleness toward herself. And she didn't need to be fixed. She needed to be heard. I want to be real with you about what this shift looks like in a practice. Because it wasn't pretty or aesthetics or practically content word in the moment. It looked like crying without immediately trying to figure out what is happening. Like, it looked like sitting with a feeling instead of researching a solution. It looked like asking myself, what do I need? What do I actually need right now? Instead of what's wrong with me and how do I fix it? Those are such different questions and they led to such a different place. I also started noticing the story I was telling myself about my journey. I had been telling myself that trying different things and not immediately succeeding was a failure. That's my part, the non-linear, messy, quiet, confused part. It was evident that something was off about me. But when I actually really listened, a different story started coming through. The story was this: you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not someone who has been through. You are someone who has been through a lot and is still somehow choosing to grow. That is not a small thing. The heartbreak didn't make you better. You choose softness instead. The burnout didn't make you quit. It made you rest. And then you got up again. The disappointment didn't close you off. Here you are, still open, still creating, still trying. When I stopped trying to fix myself and started actually seeing myself clearly, I realized I wasn't as far behind as I thought. I was just someone whose growth had been happening quietly, out of sight, in the background. And that kind of growth is still growth. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have everything figured out. I really don't. There are still hard days, still moments where the whole voice comes back and start listening everything that needed to be changed. Still evenings where I feel the gap between where I am and where I thought I would be by now. But something different. The way I talk to myself is different. I am not a project anymore. I am a person. And I am treating myself like one. I started sharing small pieces of my life online, calm walks, quiet moments, honest captures. Not because I had a strategy, but because I needed somewhere to put what I feel and what I'm feeling. And something unexpected happened. People connected with it. Not because it was polished, not because I had a perfectly mapped out niche or a content calendar or a ring light, because it was real. And I think that is the thing about finally stopping the fixing cycle. When you stop performing a better version of yourself and just start being yourself, people can feel the difference. If you are somewhere in the middle of that fix me cycle right now, I just want you to know that I understand it from the inside. I know what it feels like to be constantly rebuilding, to start over so many times you lose count, to carry hope and exhaustion at the same time, not not know which one is going to win today. I'm not going to tell you to stop trying. Trying is actually one of the most beautiful thing about you. But maybe, just maybe, the next time you sit down to make a new plan or start a new version of yourself, you could pause first and ask not what needs to be changed, but what needs to be heard. You might be surprised by how much wisdom has been waiting there quietly underneath all those noise. Thank you for being here genuinely. If this video find you at the right time, leave me a comment, even just a word. I read everything. And if you're new here, I'm glad you find this corner. This is the kind of thing I talk about. No performance, no pretend, just honest conversation about what it means to grow quietly. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you and bye. Bye.